Alright, I ordered a shift kit. Actually, I think it's called the shift valve repair kit from Transgo for the AOD. I'm about to open it up. I ordered this from the Performance Automatic Transmission Center. I think it's the website's transmissioncenter.net. Once I get it out, I'll probably put it in text or something somewhere, wherever I decide to put it. It looks good. But I just want to show an opening up to this. Oh, well, they stapled that thing on too. So apparently packaged pretty good. Another staple. That's good. Didn't want it to come apart. Alright. So I also got the filter from them too. It's going to be a little noisy. Maybe not that bad. So here's the AOD filter. Got to make sure that you got all the gaskets and stuff in there. I'm not seeing a little rectangle gasket. I think there's one that goes there if I remember right. It's been a few years since I've changed my filter. So that's the pickup area for it. So if I'm going to be in it, I might as well just change the filter. Alright, here we go. This is what it is. This is a Transgo SK-AOD. So they don't have the specific what it does on there. I can list that or something, what it actually fixes. So some of it is the, I think they said bump shift and the issues that I have with downshifting into manual first, which if you got an AOD, you know it's kind of, they're not exactly performance oriented. Alright, here we go. All kinds of steps. So I'm going to review this and study it and kind of go over it in my head what I'm going to do. Of course I need to get my valve body out, get everything drained. So that looks like the little gasket that goes in between the plates. So this is something that I need to have a good cleaned off area in order to do and be completely focused on this. And then what I got is whenever I go into first and I take off and I shift into the D position, which puts it in second gear, it shifts super early, even with the TV cable adjusted the most I can get out of it. Shifts right into third almost. So hopefully it'll fix that. And hopefully beef it up a little bit until I'm ready to rebuild it or replace it with something different. Alright, I got this kit out. Kind of got these gaskets just sitting here. I'm going to put a book on top of them or put them in between two books to get them nice and flat. So was correct, the filter does have a little gasket that goes there. It also, I need a pan gasket. I ordered the filter and didn't think to check if it come with gaskets. So I'll just get that at the local parts store. Got my other supplies out. Kind of got the table here cleaned off. I got this table cleaned off here. That way I got a decently clean surface. So I'm draining the fluid out right now down here. So I went and got me one of these big drip pans because I didn't want to do too much of a mess. So it's still dribbling. It's just not being picked up on the camera very well. Get up there. I'll just let it kind of slow drain. I'll back the screws off a little more and a little more. I think my leak on the transmission pan, or the leak down there, was a transmission pan gasket, because usually on automatic transmission you loosen the bolts up and you leave the four corner bolts and loosen them up just a little bit. You have to get in there with a screwdriver or something, kind of pry it loose, and this wasn't like that. It immediately dropped down as I was loosening the screws, so I think that was my leak. So, I get to fix a couple things while I'm in here. Alright. I got grease on my lens. Let me try this again. Okay, take two without the transmission fluid on the lens of my camera. So, what I have is the pan off. I'm starting to work on the valve body. I have the filter off, which is held on by 3 screws. Well, I don't want to get any more transmission fluid on my phone, but what I'm doing is I'm also video logging this for my benefit. I can come back and look at where all the screw holes go. See, there's one right here for the filter, and then 2 up here. That was that gasket that I said I needed, and that'll come with the gasket kit. If I can get somewhat comfortable so I can get steady here. So what's dripping out now is I've started loosening all these valve body bolts, and they're not torqued in very much at all. This is not a place to be going in and getting a breaker bar and gorilla torquing stuff down. It's inch pounds, and I do have an inch pound torque wrench, and I'll look up what it is. If I can't find it, then I'll guesstimate just by breaking it loose. I'd say maybe 10 foot-pounds, which would be 120. It probably won't even be that, but hopefully I can find that number. Anyways, all these little valves that you see up here, they have springs and stuff behind them. So that's what this repair, the SK-AOD kit, does. And I'll probably go through and replace all those that I feel comfortable getting in and out. And I'll go over the documentation, the paperwork of what I'm actually changing out. I'm not going to be doing any servo stuff just because I don't have a piston compressor, and it's in the car, so it makes it kind of hard there. I got transmission fluid on the back of my head somehow. Anyways, so this is part of it. So I might come in and do a little bit of clean. Of course, I need to clean all my pan gasket surfaces up and everything. One of the things that I'm going to have to do, I'll crawl out of here. Not drop the phone, stand up. So one of the things that I need to do is these blue shop towels are pretty much, I'm not going to use on the internal transmission because they're not a lint-free rag. Probably not as bad as the red shop towels. Got to hold my phone weird because one hand has transmission fluid on it now. Yeah, the red shop towels are definitely a no on transmissions. So here's some of the kit components that I'm going to be going through and doing. I'm just looking at, see, this is what was looking at. I think this is the other side of it. And I'll be changing some of these out. I've kind of come through and circled what I want to change, but after looking at the package here, I think I'll just break everything out, do a quick clean on it, and replace everything I feel comfortable with. So I'll go through this step by step whenever I get to it and get everything out and somewhat cleaned up. Welcome back. Oh, you didn't go anywhere. I did though. I had to go get a shower and get all the transmission fluid off of me. So when I was pulling the valve body, what I did was I poked holes in this the box that the shift kit come in, and I put my bolts that come out of the valve body that held it in roughly the order that they go back in. And the reason is I don't know if they have different lengths or anything. When I'm laying up underneath the car, taking them out, that's not a good time, or putting it back in rather, it's not a good time to figure out that they go in specific locations. So I just poked holes in there, and as I took them out, just kind of roughly put them in the same way they come out. I'm doing, passenger on this side, driver this side, front of the transmission this side. So with that, like I said, I can rewatch the video and know exactly what I got. So, I pulled the valve body, and that's a piece of the gasket material that come out. So this valve body come out pretty easy. So half of the valve body is cast into the transmission. The other half bolts up to that. So I got my drain pans all emptied out and everything. Looks like this is taking about Well, I'm glad I got 2 gallons, so we'll see how much of that 2 gallons it'll take. I'm definitely over a gallon right now. So I'm just going to let that sit in the pan, let that dribble in there until I get back to it tomorrow, because I'm not doing anything else after getting all cleaned up. So, well, let me see if I can get a picture up underneath here, what it looks like. So that's the servos I was talking about. I'd have to have a way to push them up in there, because there's a spring behind them, get the snap ring out, and then release it. Kind of like a valve spring on a cylinder head. So I'll have to get that wiped down, cleaned up, ready for a new gasket. And there's a little piece I took out right there in the back. I took that out first. That goes up on the little shift valve. So I just took that out first, but it pretty much has come right out. Unlike a torque flight, where the shift rods and park rods and all that stuff is all intermingled. So that can be tricky to get out. So pretty easy. Of course, here in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, watching a video when I explain why it don't work or give up, that'll be different, but I don't think I'll get to that. This looks pretty straightforward. Just read directions. It's easy to get out. Just go step by step what I got to do. Okay, so the valve body's out. It's on the bench. I'm looking at it to see how to get this steel plate off. And I think that's one of the screws. 2 of those, 4 of those, 4 of those. I think these go underneath the servo or something here. So I might look up on YouTube or something and see what I need to do. But it kind of looks self-explanatory. On the torques, what I'm going to do is use my inch-pound torque wrench for a brake loose torque, and that'll get me pretty close. Won't be exact. It should be just a little bit less in most cases. So I got the red microfiber rags down, 2 different places. That way I have plenty of storage for all these little parts. I'll try to do a little bit at a time and get this cleaned up. I got everything in the pan, so I'm kind of used the pan as my cleaning area right there. And then we'll see. It's about to get real messy. So I've got these plates off, and I just turned them right on their side. I confirmed all the little bolts are the same length. I got that one oddball bolt right there that's an 8mm that goes in a hole there. So I want to point out something. These little pits right here, these are called shadow ports over the fluid pumping chamber that you can see right here. This one you can kind of see the silhouette, the hole that comes in and out. That's a shadow port for fluid to move. So you see those in oil pumps, transmission pumps, and so on. If you ever take a oil pump apart, you'll see those shadow ports like that. I recorded my torques, my brake torques, so just in case I can't find what the torque's supposed to be on these, at least I've recorded brake torque, so I can get pretty stinking close. Okay, so I got the first part out on here, the sleeve and boost, PR outer, PR inner. So I took those out. I'm not taking these parts out because it doesn't say to take it out. So one thing to note when I was taking this piece out, it has a little clip like what we see right here. So I did something dumb, and the dumb part was not using my little clamp here and an old oil filler nut to press it in so I can get the clip out. The problem was I went to lift the clip out and all of a sudden it disappeared, and a second later I heard a ka-thunk and then a tink across the shop. So that's never what you want to hear. However, this comes with, I don't know if you can see that or not, comes with a new clip, so I'm going to pay attention and put a rag over it whenever I go to install it. That way if it bounces and all that stuff, I'm still good. So I have what they call the sleeve and the boosters in there. Don't mess with that. And it says a PR inner, PR outer. So I need to replace these with the green spring that should be this big around. And the black spring should be this big around. So I'm looking at my bag, and this does not look to be the right bag for these springs. So I just look for the right bag and then open that one at a time so things don't get mixed. Okay, new piece green and black, old pieces. Take the old pieces and put them somewhere other than on the table. And then I will install this back without shooting the clip across the room and loop. I got this one out right here called the 3/4 back out. This is the old spring. This is a new spring. So that just come out pretty easy. No valve or anything. It just kind of slips right back in there. Let's get a little flat head. So that'll fit in the slot to push the spring in. And hopefully not shoot it across the room. It's trying to shoot across the room. Alright, so I'll put a rag here, kind of work underneath the rag. Try to not lose the parts I just bought. This sucks, by the way. Okay, we got it. Just had to overpress it in. It looked ugly, just, you know, shove it in a little extra hard and back it out. Alright, get rid of the old part. Okay, so I'm going to look at what I'm going to do next and then do it. Alright, take two on a couple things, and I noticed I can't hear the fan, but the camera definitely picks it up. Alright, what I was showing, I was a little bit out of frame, was I got the two valves right there. One has 3 lands are the same size and 3 lands are smaller. So I'm looking at this one, put my hand behind it. Maybe if I watch what I'm doing on the camera so we can see the 3, hold it, there's 3 lands on the end over here that are smaller. So I got the second design just like what it shows right there. More mosquitoes. So that means I need to use the white spring, so I'm about to assemble that. It come out pretty easy. I didn't lose anything this time, so that's good. Okay, I'm going over this. I found the bag that all the things belong to in here, and I'm just kind of put them on the page. White spring right there. These go in here. It looks like there's a green, yellow, red, green. So I'm doing this because that top one's kind of a real light green and a yellow. And then that's a, I do believe, a red. There it is. You can see it's red. So all those go to that spot. Then I had these, I'll move this out of the way. Long green. I found the blue one. Large red. Now this is where it got a little tricky because this one said orange, and I actually mistaken it for this one here, which looks very close to orange, but this is a small red. Once I saw the orange, I knew what the orange was, so my paper's kind of not flat, so they keep wanting to roll. So I confused E small red with the orange until I found the orange. So that's why laying this stuff out is important. The black one right here, that was an obvious one. So these, it's marked out, any vehicle 85 and up, skip step C. So I'm going to take these 4 springs and put them aside, put them on something different so I can't mix them up. And then I'm going to have to figure out what they mean with this. So they're talking about frictions, and I don't know how many frictions I have because I'm not rebuilding the transmission. I don't know if it has 5 frictions or 6, 7, 8. So I don't know. I'll just kind of guess at middle and go with it, basically, on that one. That's the best I can do with the information I have. Okay, I got a little bit more done. So what I didn't show was D, doing that one. It's pretty much the same thing I've been doing before. So, and E, I did that one. Put the clip in. Those weren't super springy like that first one I dealt with. So it's pretty basic getting those in. So now I'm over here. I did a little bit backwards. Now I'm doing B right here. The one I really wanted to get right. Well, I don't have good focus. But the 2.3 capacity. I'll probably touch the lens picking my camera up with transmission fluid on my hand. There we go. I knew it was capable of doing it. So got that clip out, no problem. Got the spring out, no problem. This little shuttle valve, or whatever they call it here, the end of valve, 2.3 capacity, that's deep in there. So I kind of had to tilt the valve body up a little bit. So I tilted it up and kind of tapped it a little bit to get it to come out, and then got it to come out. Going back in, what I need to do is probably get a good magnetic screwdriver or something like that to put it back in. But the other thing on that one, since it's so deep in there, I use a little flathead here, and what it does is it goes in between that and pushes the spring in so that I can pull the clip out. So, as you can see, I got all my old components laid out here the way they come out. Well, now they are. According to the directions, here's the washer. It slides over the end of the valve, as you can see. So that tells me that I crossed out the won't fit. I'm in the will fit. I have the green or the yellow spring. Depends on if I got a 5 friction or the 6, 7, 8 friction. I don't know which one I have because it involves tearing the transmission apart. So I'm looking at the springs and comparing them. This is green, this is yellow. They're about the same. Whenever I try to squeeze them down, they feel like they're about the same stiffness, but it's about 1 coil shorter on the green one than the yellow one. So given this transmission come out of a Grand Marquis and not a Mustang, I don't know, it probably has the 5 in it but that's an assumption I'm going to make. So I have to make a call. So I'm going to make it the one for the weaker of the 2 transmissions, the 5 friction one, and see what I get on the 2-3 shift. So that's the way it is sometimes. The good thing is I had 3 springs, and I can throw out the red one, so 50-50 chance instead of a 30% chance now. Alright, the next step is the Smart Act ACC, I guess that's accumulator system, ACCM, in its own separate pack. So the same thing I've been doing the whole time. I'm about to put that in, and I think this is the one that fixes or will fix my harsh downshift. Like if I have it in first and shift into drive to go to second gear, if I have any forward movement and I go back down, even if it's like 3 miles an hour, if I go back down to first, I have a harsh engagement to first. So the Smart Act pack right here, I think that's what is going to fix that, because it shows it's the 1-2 capacity, 1-2 accumulator, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to throw that in, same thing I've been doing the whole time. And sweating because it's October in the south. Okay, so read the instructions and I just kind of want to go over it a little bit. There's new instructions on here, so I'm just reading everything in there. I haven't pulled it out yet, but I just laid everything out like what they say. Recessed in. Got a mosquito buzzing around. Wish it'd just go away. There's a seal on that. That's a new plug. Flat in, recessed in. So that's going to make a big difference. I don't care about quick change. So I'm not doing new plates. I don't know the color of my old plates, so I got a little scared. But then clutch ID unknown or not. Thing has vision about as good as I do. ID unknown or not listed, use green spring. So I had 3 springs in a package to use. So the green, if I flip this around, longer shift, shorter shift. So that's the longer shift of the two. So what I've done is I put the white and the blue spring in a bag, and I'll hold on to it along with that yellow spring just in case I have too much shift. So it does come with some new components. I've already lubed this up right here since it is new steel. So here's the other little piece. So what's neat is they talk about that little shelf, the small end. I just cannot get focus for nothing today. I'm probably going to have to clean my lens real good. I probably got, you can see the transmission fluid on my hands. It wants to pick that up. Anyways, that's a little seat, spring seat. See that pops in there. So that definitely goes that way. Even if it didn't have directions, I would put it in that way. Got my O-ring on. That's lubed up. So I'm ready to pull this apart and get to this part. So the next thing is this. So I crossed X out because I already looked at my valve body and I do not have that hole there. Don't have to worry about that. Same if it has a hole there in the separator plate where it was showing there, that's crossed out. I don't have that. So it says straight up drill that hole. Well, I already got the drill bit. Should be, looks like 2 drill bits or something. C, I'm not going to do because I didn't quite get what they meant by that. I read it quite a few times and I didn't understand it, so I'm not going to drill C. Not going to put a cotter pin. I'm just not going to mess with C. But I'll do BEK with the drill. And once that's done, I'm ready to put everything back together. So, not too bad, not too bad. Of course, here's what I skipped on the servo stuff. I'm just not going to mess with the servo stuff, basically. If I was doing the transmission rebuild, I would do it, but I'm not going to mess with it. So, I'll look at my package. Okay, so there's 1 drill bit in there. I'll measure that to see exactly what it is. Double check that they put the right one in the bag. Okay, so I cleaned up the valve body plate. So you see what looks like to be sanding marks. I did not use sandpaper. I used my Mirka abrasive mesh. I would recommend that, or using the emery cloth. That's what it is. It don't have any sand in it. So I just kind of got some of this rust off here. Cleaned it up a little bit. It's going to get some holes drilled in it and maybe some holes closed off. So we'll see how that turns out. Okay, I got my holes drilled. Actually, the only one that I needed to drill was E, B, and K. Were already a little bit oversized. And I know the instructions said if it's oversized, then peen it and then re-drill it. But the fact is, it worked pretty much the way I wanted it to before. And the things that I really wanted, my issues were actually in a lot of these valves and spring systems that I updated here. That was the major part of the kit I wanted to change. So I did pull that out and put that little hoo-yah in there for the check ball. But everything's done. So I'm about to clean this plate up one more time, blow it off, and then start to install. So I'll have the torque specs on there I got from Silver Fox Transmission's webpage. So I'll put that up probably in a comment or text or something across here, something like that, and start assembling. Okay, I got these little plates torqued on. I kind of got the gasket in place. Of course, I have the bottom gasket in too. I just real careful to make sure it's lined up real good, which you just putting a plate on and the bolt holes does that. I'll kind of double check, make sure I'm not half covering a hole or anything. And what I've done, I've taken this driven engine assembly grease, and no, I didn't use it on any of the valves or internals. I used it here in like this little key big flat area that has nothing around it. I've just kind of touched along those edges like that just to hold this gasket down. It's designed to dissolve. I guess you can use Vaseline too, but I use it pretty sparingly on here just to hold it down. So these are all torqued. I torqued them to 85 inch-pounds. That's what I derived from Silver Fox Transmission webpage on torque specs. So this is now ready to go up into the transmission. So I'm going to give it probably a little bit of a clean, and then get to installing this. And I think I remember what the torque is, but I'm going to go and visit the same thing, Silver Fox Transmission webpage, and see what the torque is on those before I continue. Okay, the pan's ready to go back on. Added a drain plug. So that's just this Dorman. I've used these before. Hey, I got focus. Maybe it's not the transmission fluid on the phone, it's the phone. Anyways, yeah, just kind of typical, get 2 bolts started on there. I'll probably just go in and kind of get this in there with 2 bolts, maybe do a couple more bolts, because I'm pretty much done for today. But tomorrow, Friday, get that torqued in, get fluid on it, and well, I still have a charging system. My wires and everything that I ordered got sent, well, somewhere else, and it's bouncing across the country right now. I'm in Arkansas, and it's went to Washington, then Montana, North South Dakota, and Minnesota right now. Alright, I'm going out to the track. I've already test drove the car as far as the shifting, and it shifts better. Not anything real crazy or anything, but that's not the kind of shift kit I put in there. So my upshift is much better, so I'm about to go see how it looks out on the track. Okay, so synopsis of the autocross event and gym that has the AOD, the SK-AOD recalibration, whatever kit, not a true big shift kit. 1-2 shift seems pretty good. 2-1 shift, I can actually pull it down into manual 1. Sometimes it stays in 2nd gear unless it's slow down enough, but I got rid of the harsh engagement, so I'm not afraid to stick it down into 1. And I don't know exactly how many miles an hour it is, it'll downshift, because I was at the autocross, and well, it's just kind of exciting, so I didn't quite catch that. So 2-3 shift, instead of being at like some ridiculously low 2,500, 3,000, is about 4,500 at wide open throttle. So that's much better. The overall shifting of the transmission under normal driving is just, it's smooth, super smooth. It's just like you know, a grandma car. It's very nice for normal driving, and there's no harsh shifts on any of it. So it's a very nice upgrade, I think, for what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make it shift so hard that it breaks the transmission. Just needs to be good and firm.